Today we are going to study about direct and indirect immunochemical procedures. We all know that antibodies are highly specific towards the antigen, and the specificity of these antibodies makes them a very powerful analytical tool by which we can determine the concentration of any antigen or a specific antigen in a given sample. Although the antigen antibody reaction results in a visible precipitin line in agar or agarose, but in most of the immunochemical procedure, binding of antibody to antigen can be studied by or visualized by labeling the antibody or sometimes antigen, or in most cases the antibody, that is anti-immunoglobulin, is labeled with a marker, and then antigen antibody reaction can be qualitatively or sometimes quantitatively studied. Thus antibody can be labeled with radioactive isotope in case of radioimmunoassay, that is RIA, or it can be labeled with an enzyme, as is the case in enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay. Now we'll study about direct and indirect immunochemical procedures. In simple direct immunochemical procedure, the antibody, that is the primary antibody, is labeled, and this antibody is specific towards its antigen, and this primary antibody is conjugated with the label. In more commonly used indirect procedures, binding of the primary antibody, that is unlabeled primary antibody, to antigen is then detected by the help of a second antibody which is raised against the primary antibody. This secondary antibody is usually labeled with a marker. This secondary antibody is raised against primary antibody from animal species, and in which primary antibody was produced. And it may also be, the secondary antibody may also be class or subclass specific. If the primary antibody was raised in rabbit, the secondary antibody can be raised in goat or some other organism. This is the diagram for direct and indirect procedure. Here in direct procedure, the primary antibody which is specific against the antigen of interest is labeled with a radioisotope or an enzyme, and then it is allowed to react with the antigen, forming antigen antibody complex. The amount of the marker that is present on the antibody will give us or tell us about the concentration of antigen present in the sample. In the second procedure, that is indirect method, the antigen is reacted with unlabeled primary antibody which is specific for the antigen of interest. This antigen antibody complex that is formed here, it is allowed to react with a radioisotopically or enzyme labeled secondary antibody, that is anti-IgG. Or for example, in this case it is anti-rabbit immunoglobulin which is allowed to react with the antigen antibody complex. This secondary antibody reacts or binds to primary antibody because it has been raised against it to form a larger complex, and the amount of the secondary antibody that is bound by the help of its marker, we can come to know about the concentration of antigen present in the sample. This indirect technique has several advantages. It is very sensitive since several labeled immunoglobulin molecules can bind to each unlabeled primary antibody, resulting in a stronger signal. Radio labeling of an antibody or an antigen can be done with 125 iodine. Radioiodination of antibody is done by the help of enzyme lactoperoxidase. Now we'll study about competitive binding radioimmunoassay. In competitive binding radioimmunoassay, antigen present in the sample is to be assayed is allowed to compete with the labeled antigen which is present in fixed amount with a limiting amount of antibody. When the system has reached equilibrium, antigen bound to antibody is separated and the amount of radioactivity present in the antigen is determined by help of scintillation counting. The amount of labeled antigen which is bound to antibody is inversely proportional to the concentration of antigen present in sample, because the antigen present in sample is unlabeled and it is allowed to compete with the labeled antigen. So as the concentration of unlabeled antigen will increase, it will displace the labeled antigen from the antibody binding site and it will itself get bound to the antibody. So the amount of radioactivity present in antigen antibody complex will decrease as the concentration of unlabeled antigen will increase. So this is how we can determine the concentration of antigen present in the sample. Here the steps of RIA are as follows. A hypothetical human protein X is taken. Antiserum to X is raised in heterologous species, for example in rabbit. Then this antigen is radio labeled with iodine 125 or tritium. Then this labeled antigen is then reacted with enough antibody to so that labeled antigen binds to antibody at about 70% level. Then various known concentrations standards of unlabeled antigen are taken and they are allowed to compete with this reaction mixture. And when the unlabeled antigen is present in lower concentration, then the amount of antigen labeled antigen that it will displace will be lesser in amount. So the antigen antibody complex that we will get after separation will contain larger amount of radioactivity. As the concentration of unlabeled antigen will be increased, the amount of unlabeled antigen will displace greater concentration of labeled antigen and will itself get bound to the antibody. So now the radioactivity present in antigen antibody complex will get decreased. By help of these standard unlabeled antigens, we can plot a graph between the amount of radioactivity present in antigen antibody complex against concentration of unlabeled antigen, and by the help of this graph we can determine the concentration of unlabeled antigen that is present in the sample. So this is the diagram of the RIA steps. Here the labeled antigen X is shown, which is in fixed amount. Unlabeled X is taken in variable amounts and antibody is taken in specific amounts. In the first stage, only a labeled antigen is present and the antigen antibody complex that will be formed will be totally or will give 100% radioactivity. In the second step, equal amounts of labeled and unlabeled antigen are taken. Here the unlabeled antigen is a standard. So the 50% of labeled antigen will be displaced by unlabeled antigen. So now the antigen antibody complex will show lesser amount of radioactivity, 50% lesser amount of radioactivity. And then again antigen concentration, unlabeled antigen concentration will be increased. Now this unlabeled antigen concentration is present in such greater amounts that it will displace all the labeled antigen present in the antibody binding site. So now the antigen antibody complex will give no radioactivity. So by taking different concentrations of unlabeled antigen and then determining the amount of radioactivity present in antigen antibody complex, we plot a graph between the amount of radioactivity present in antigen antibody complex against the concentration of unlabeled antigen, and by the help of this graph we can determine the concentration of we can determine the concentration of antigen present in the sample. This method was first of all applied for insulin, uh, and further applications for separation of antigen antibody complex. We can either use polyethylene glycol, which precipitates the antigen bound antibody, or we can use a secondary antibody which will precipitate antigen antibody complex. By the help of these two substances, we can separate antigen antibody complex from unbound antigen, and thus estimate radioactivity present in antigen antibody complex. Application: it is used for analysis of various analytes like steroids, peptide hormones, and in humans large proteins can also be analyzed. For example, serum levels of alpha 2 macroglobulin and immunoglobulin were determined by this method.